Hi everyone, today we're going to have a look at the recently released set of crewel wool threads by DMC, these Eco Vita threads. We're going to look at what they are and how to use them. I've got a little design for you to have a practice on as well for free. We're also going to give away this set of threads as well, so keep watching to see how to get your hands on those. So there's lots going on, so let's jump straight in. My name is Sarah, welcome to my channel, Sarah Homfray Embroidery, and before we get going I just want to say a quick thanks to those of you who clicked the super thanks button since the last time we made a video to show your appreciation that you're enjoying them. It looks like this over here, and you can just find that underneath the video. If you're enjoying something, you can click on that button and you can support our channel. Your names are going across the bottom of the screen now. Thank you so much for your support, and also to our channel members and our Patreons as well, who support through those two platforms there, and you get extra content. And they are enjoying at the moment a free design here that we have been doing to go with these threads as well. They have already got that and they're enjoying that. So if you want another design, do go and check that out on those pages. You can see how to join those in the description underneath this video. So let's have a look at this thread. So it was released last year, nearer the end of last year. It's taken me that long to get my hands on some. So let's have a little look at it. So this is what it looks like. There's some skeins here that I've been using for the project we're going to look at in a minute. So they come in beautiful colours. So I'm going to read what the DMC description of it says. So it's 100% organic wool that's been dyed using infusions. So how's that? Cup of tea, of completely natural ingredients such as walnut, rhubarb, indigo and juniper. So there are quite a different set of colours in these. We'll talk a little bit about more about that in a minute. The thread has undergone rigorous testing for colour fastness, including for light washing, rubbing and sweating, and can be hand washed at 30 degrees. So you can use this on your clothes if you want to embroider your clothes and hand wash them. Don't stick them in the washing machine because it's wool, it will shrink, but you can hand wash these, so they're fully usable for stitching on your clothes. So let's have a closer look at this. So let's have a look at this colour here. It's 410. This is a pink colour, so it's a 2-ply wool. It is a crewel wool thread. So if you're not sure what crewel wool is, or crewel embroidery is, do check out our video up here, 18 types of embroidery. That will explain the differences between them and when you use what for what and what I'm talking about when I say crewel wool. So it's a 2-ply wool, not to be confused with the tapestry wool, which is a 4-ply wool. So it's got 2 plies. If I just untwist the end, you can see the 2 separate plies there, but you don't separate them. It's not like a stranded cotton. You don't pull them apart to use them. You use it as it is from the skein, so just the one length as it is from the skein. So the 2-ply wool is equivalent to about 3 strands of a stranded cotton or a floss if you want an equivalent weight comparison. So the DMC range comes in 60 different colours, and if you're familiar with an Appleton's wool, I'll just bring a couple in here. This is also a crewel wool, so they're the same weight of thread. I'll show you them a bit closer in a second. So the Appleton's wool, there's a much bigger colour range. There's over 420 colours in Appleton. So if you want that range of colours, you want to be able to shade through lots of different ranges, you might want to consider Appleton's. I like the DMC colour range because I'm really interested in natural dyes and dye my own. And if you see my Sarah Homfray Create channel, you'll have seen some videos about that on there, and how I've been exploring that. So I quite like the colour range, but there are some differences between the two. So Appleton's on a skein you get 25 metres, on the DMC Eco Vita you get 16 metres, so you get a little bit more on the Appletons. But what I have found with that is that they vary quite a bit in the thickness. And if I just bring in these ones, this is some greens that I've been using for a project, and if I just separate them out a little bit, hopefully you can see the variation. So you can see that bit there, a little bit untwisted, that one's twisted much tighter there, and that can be in the same skein. This has come from a hank, but it can be in the same skein. You can get this really fine one and this sort of much looser one. So I do find the Appletons vary a little bit. The DMC are much more consistent in the weight of the thread throughout. I can pull it and I know I'm going to get the same weight of thread. But I did find one thing with the DMC when I'm sorting out some colours, is I pulled these 2 colours, so they're supposed to be the same colour, they're both 410, but I hope you can see on the camera they are actually a little bit different. The dye lot does vary. I don't know if this is a bit of an anomaly. I looked at some other colours and they seemed fine, but these are quite different. If you'd run out of this and wanted some more of this, these are not going to match. So just something to be aware of if you're planning your project. Make sure you get enough wool. If you're not sure, get an extra skein just in case they don't match. So they are wound in a figure of 8. So this has a pull through method, so you don't need to take it out of the labels and wrap it around anything. You can use it as it is. If you watch my videos, you'll know I'm a fan of this. I don't like spending time winding it onto something else. So if I just find the end, so it's the end that's at the bottom, so there's the number, there's the Eco Vita label at the top, number at the bottom, and it's the end that's sticking out there. And if you just pull that, you get the right length to use. Fingertip to the inside of your elbow. So one pull is enough of a length to use. It's wool, so it has little fibres that stick out. So nice short lengths for using this. And I just want to mention Appleton's at this point as well. I know we're looking at DMC, but if you want a comparison of the difference, this also has a pull through method and you can do the same. And that's not too bad, but what Appleton's have done is they were taken over recently and they put some new labels on. Say recently, it was a couple of years ago now, and they put sticky labels on. I don't know why you did that, Appleton's. And so it can get stuck on the labels when you pull it out, and you can't pull the thread through the label. So just something to be aware of if you're using Appleton's, but they both use that method, so you don't need to take them out of the labels. You can just use them straight from the skein. So we're going to actually use some. I'm going to show you what it's like to use on the design that I've got for you for free. This one here, so we're a PDF with for you with 2 sizes of this design. You can choose which one you want. Lots of information on there about the stitches. We've got a colour reference on there as well if you want to check the colours. So you can download this for free from the free stuff page of our website. The link for that is in the description below the video. Go down there and check that out, and you can download that and print that off. So what I am going to do is set up a frame with this design on it. I'm going to pull some colours that we're going to use. I'm going to show you the thread and how to use it, and how to do the stitches that are in this project. I'll just pick a little bit of each stitch to show you, and we'll work that, and then we'll have a look at the threads and how you can go about winning those. So this is the design I've got for you. I've done something a little bit different this time. I normally do an outline and fill the outline in and leave some background, but I thought it'd be fun to fill in the whole piece this time and just see what this wool feels like as a sort of more solid piece of embroidery. So I've done this little flower panel for you, and we're going to go through some of these stitches. So we're going to have a little go at the stitch in the leaf, that's fly stitch. We'll look at the long and short in the petals, and if you're a Patreon or a channel member and you having a go at this one, with this stitch is also in there, so there's a long and short shading in that one as well. So if you're not sure about how to do that, it's the same as this one in here. We'll look at some French knots, and we'll look at flower centre here as well, and then just the 2 stitches I've used for the small flowers. So we'll have a little go at each. I do talk about in the PDF from the order you need to stitch it, and I'll just go through that briefly nearer the end as well, so you'll have all the information you need to go ahead and stitch this piece. So I'm going to use a crewel needle number 5 for this thread. I've found that works quite well. If you want a slightly bigger eye, you could try a chenille number 24. That'll be nice as well. And we're just going to pull that one length. So there's the little end that I talked about earlier. So we're just going to pull it once, and it stops there. There's an automatic stop there, and it's fingertip to the inside of my elbow. So that's the perfect length. They've thought about it all ahead of time. You don't need to do any working out. Just pull it once, and that's the right length of thread. Remember, we're not stranding it. This is not a stranded thread. We're going to use the 2-ply together. I'm going to thread that in my needle. If you're not sure about how to thread needles, or you want my method, do check that video out. I'll put that up at the corner here for an easy way to thread your needles every time. I'm just going to put a knot in the end where you like. So as I mentioned earlier, it's nice and consistent all the way through this thread. You don't get sort of thin bits and thick bits. So that's quite nice. You can use the whole skein. So I'm just going to show you a little bit of fly stitch with it on this leaf here. I'm doing my 2 small stitches. Those are my starting stitches. I can cut that knot off later. That's a waist knot. So I'm just going to come up and do a little point. And it is really nice to use. You can hear it going through, but it doesn't feel like it's pulling on the thread. It doesn't feel like it's wearing the thread. If you use a length that's too long with wool, it will start to wear and it'll start to fray and the wool will just break. So if you feel it doing that, you need either a shorter length or a bigger needle. And then I'm just going to come up one side, down the other, up at the end of that one inside the loop. I'm going to pull it downwards, and then we go down at the end to finish it off. I've got all of these stitches are on my channel. You can check out our new stitch sampler playlist that we're doing on the slow stitch sampler. These are on there or our stitch library. We've got lots of videos on there if you want more detailed instructions on how to do the stitches, but I just want to show you how to do them quickly if you want to have a go at this design. It's a wool thread, so it will fill in a lot faster than if you did it in a stranded. So it's nice, you get some beautiful textures with this. It's a little bit thicker. I'm just coming up on the edge, down on the other edge, at the end of that previous one, up inside the loop, pull it down towards me, and that will make the vein down the middle. So nice simple stitch, makes really lovely leaves. And in this project I've got lots of different greens in there, and I'm just mixing my green colours up so that they don't get two colours next to each other. There's no right or wrong way about the order of these. Just mix your greens up and have a nice selection of green colours. It's really lovely to stitch with. It's really nice and smooth. Wool can get a bit catchy. It sort of can pull a little bit and it can start to disintegrate, but I found this one is really lovely. Really enjoyed using it. And then all the way to the bottom and just finish that off. So that's the last stitch. You just need to make sure I stitch over it to hold it in place, and then on the back I can just weave that thread underneath that stitches on the back, and I can cut it off so it's nice and neat, tidy on the front and the back. You can cut your waist knot off so it's all nice and smooth. So you can see that's quite nice and textured. It's gone in really smoothly, really lovely thread to stitch with. So let's have a look at the next one, and we're going to look at a little bit of long and short. So I'm going to just do this in two colours, nice simple colour scheme here. I'm going to do light on the outside, I'm going to get a little bit darker as I go into the middle. So I threaded both of those up ready to go in my number 5 crewel needle. I'm just going to do this petal at the top, and I'm going to do a row of long and short. So I'm going to come up right in the middle of the flower there. I'm going to go down on that line. If you want to work a little split stitch around the edge first and stitch over that, you can. You'll see that in our other videos about silk shading and about long and short stitch. I'm not going to worry about that this time because this wool is a little bit thicker than a stranded cotton. It's easier to make the edge a little bit neater. It's a little bit more forgiving in that way, so it's a nice thing to use it for. So I'm just going to make my stitches slightly different length. Going to do them next to each other. So I'm doing a long one and a short one, long and short. And then as I just get to the edge, I'm just going to fan it out a little bit. So a little bit wider at the top and a little bit closer together at the bottom. Stab straight down there. If you go at any angles, it'll move the stitch. So straight down, do a little short one from underneath there. And I'm just turning that stitch ever so slightly, so it comes into the centre here and it doesn't just come straight down and off the petal. And just come down the side a little bit. And one more. Then I'm going to come back to the middle and do the same on the other side. This is the first row, so work in rows, be quite methodical. These are small shapes in these flower petals, so you don't have to get too much detail in. Small shapes in a thicker thread, so you should find it goes in fairly simply with just a couple of rows. So this is the first row. You can see I've just changed that angle slightly, so it's not doing that, it's doing that. So just a little bit wider at the top, a little bit closer together at the bottom. That's the first row, and just before I finish off with that colour, I'm going to come out in the middle of these stitches now. I'm going to go the other way for the second row. I'm just going to put a couple of stitches in just to blend that in. So one there, one in the middle. I'm actually splitting that wool. The wool will separate because it's 2 ply, and you can actually come up between the threads and it will blend really nicely, the wool. So it's a really good one if you want to blend some colours together. So I'm actually coming out of that previous stitch there, through those plies and coming this way now, and then we'll finish off in that other colour. So I've got my second colour in now, a little bit darker, so I'm going to come out of those stitches again and come towards the middle now. It's only the first row where you go out over the edge, the next one you come back the other way. I'm going to go right up to that circle, and the wool just blends beautifully. And there's something about these natural dyes in these threads. The thread is a little bit mottled, you can't necessarily see it maybe on the camera, but there's a slight variation in the colour. It's really beautiful. I like that about these colours, some of them more than others. Some of the purples are beautiful. And then I'm just going to pierce the thread, pierce those plies, angle that needle towards the centre, just fill in the shape, and you get that beautiful little bit of shading. You can come back a long way into those stitches. Just put that last stitch in there, finish that off. So blends beautifully, the wool, really lovely to stitch with and get a nice texture on it. So that's long and short. So let's just have a quick look at the middle before we leave these flowers. So for the centres of the orange ones I've used French knots, which I'll show you in a second, but for the yellow ones I've used a stitch. Now I've called it Rhodes stitch. It's kind of a mix between Rhodes and star stitch. It's a bit of a strange one, but I'm going to show you that on the orange one, but I did it on the yellow flowers on the design. And what I'm going to do is a big cross in the middle. I wanted something that really stood out quite a lot. So it's not quite a Rhodes. If it was a Rhodes I would go round in a kind of clockwise direction, but I'm going to do this a bit differently. So this is like a star stitch but with some extra stitches in it. So it's half Rhodes, half star stitch. So I'm going to go across over the middle. It makes a really nice little textured centre. Now there's a little gap there, so I'm going to just keep going with another one over the top. I'm just going to go opposite side, and it gets really high in the middle. It's beautiful. So just where you've got a little gap, come up in the gap, go across to the other side and down, and do the same here. And the wool doesn't wear at all, just keep that nice short length and you should be able to use the whole length of that thread. It's not getting fluffy or anything. It's really beautiful thread. So I think go one more across there. So just sort of keep filling in those gaps and you get this little kind of beautiful textured centre in the middle of your flower. So if you look at the flowers on the right hand side of the design on your PDF, on your free design there, I've used detached chains to make the petals for these. So I'm just going to come up near the centre, down right next to it, make a little loop, hold it to the outside of the flower, come up inside the loop, tension it to the edge. So you make a little chain and you can just go over the end of that chain there just to hold that into place. And that makes an instant petal. Then all I've done is I've gone around the flower and done more of those. If you want to be a bit methodical, you can do north, south, east and west. Northwest, so I do, to the edge. Don't forget to finish it off by going down on the outside, and then you can come back and fill in between if you want to space them out nicely. And then make instant petal shapes, and if you want to fill those in a little bit more, you can just do a little straight stitch inside that detached chain, and that will just fill the petals in. Little straight stitch in the middle just to make those petals more solid. So super easy stitch, that one makes really lovely little flowers. And again, I've got 3 colours in there, I think, 4 colours of pinks, and just mix them up to make them all stand out. So I finished the centres of those off with a French knot. So I've just got 2 more stitches to show you. That is one of them. But just before we do those, let's have a look at the giveaway. So as I mentioned earlier, we are going to give away a whole set of threads to stitch this design. So all of the threads that I have used in this design, they're in this box here. They look beautiful. So you've got lots of colours. There's 22 colours in there. I just want to talk quickly about the colours of these DMC Eco Vita threads, because they don't work necessarily how they do with other threads. So just pointing out the greens here, these are in number order, 701, 702, 703, 704, and you can see that they don't necessarily go dark to light like they might do in other series. They're natural dyes, so you're a little bit limited into the colours that you can get for these. So you may not get a beautiful range of tones between your colours like you would in another make, such as the Appletons. So just something to be aware of. So you do get a nice light, medium and dark in the greens there, but then the next colour is a completely different green, and the next one's a completely different green again. So the oranges shade quite nicely, but then there's a slightly sort of pinky one in there. And the purples are nice too, but you will get a random one in the middle. So they are beautiful colours, but just be aware that there's not so many shades to choose from, but they are very, very lovely. And we have got a box of these to give to one lucky viewer. So all you have to do to enter is to leave me a comment. So in the comment section below this video, leave me a comment, include the words somewhere in your comment, Eco Vita. I'll put them on the screen now so you can see how to spell that. It's 2 separate words, Eco Vita. Put that anywhere in your comments and we will select a winner from all the comments that are left below. So this video is up on Friday the 19th of July. It's going up, so you've got until the end of the month. You've got until Wednesday the 31st of July to enter, and then we will pick a winner at random and we will release the name of that winner on Friday the 2nd of August. So you need to put your comment in by the end of the month, 31st of July, to be in with a chance of winning. So if you are the lucky winner, we will respond to the comment that you left. So your name will be in the video on the Friday. We will respond to your comment as well, and we'll also pin a comment below the video with the winner's name. So do keep an eye out and see if you are the lucky person. We will send it to you wherever you are in the world for free, so anybody can enter this. So get your comments in, and I look forward to reading them, and I look forward to picking a winner for these beautiful threads. So the last few stitches to show you, so you can have a go at the project that I've got for you. So this is super simple one. So this is just eyelet stitch, but we're going to just go around that centre circle because that's for the centre of the flower. So all we're going to do is come up on the edge of that circle and down on the edge of the flower, and you need to just turn those stitches as you go around. Don't worry about the gaps. Come back and fill those in. Want to come from the outside to the in, you can do that. I'm just leaving that little space in the middle for those French knots. I'll just do half because this is a super simple one. You can make your stitches a different length if you want, and you can just come and fill in between, fill in those gaps and get that nice solid flower. So you can make it as open or as solid as you want. I quite like to pack some stitches in there. The wool is lovely for this. It just gets really nice texture on there, and just filling in the gaps in between, so up on the edge, just down on the edge of that. I suggest you go all the way around. In an eyelet you would work all the way around, but I'm just doing half just to show you quickly because the other half is exactly the same. So you can just fill in wherever you want to. Don't worry about the lengths being the same. Make them a bit different. Makes your flower a little bit more interesting. So super easy stitch that one. For flowers, that's eyelet stitch. Let's just finish off with the French knots for the centre. So we have a whole video on French knots because they can be some people's nemesis, so you can check that out up the corner if you want a really detailed video on how to do these, but I'm just going to show you very quickly how to do them. So come up where you want your knot to sit, needle ahead, over the needle, back under the needle, keep that tension on, needle goes back into the fabric near to where you came out. Not exactly though, because it can pull through to the back. Pull that tight around the needle, and let that go, and then just pull slowly through to form your knot. Easy as, she says. We've done millions of them. So up where you want your knot to sit, over and back. Keep the tension on the needle. Needle goes into the fabric nearby. Pull it tight around the needle. Pull the needle through to the back. And if you want a larger knot, you can go around a couple of times, once, twice. Pull it tight through to the back. This stitch is also on our stitch sampler, slow stitch sampler one as well. We've got left-handed instructions as well, so if you're a left-hander and you want to know how to do these left-handed, do check that one out. And then you can just pack these tightly into the middle of the flowers, and I've also used this stitch for the background of the whole piece as well. So I've finished all my flowers and all my leaves, and I've just packed all these French knots in really tightly. I've done it in 3 different colours just to give it a slightly more interesting effect. So lots of French knots to have a practice at in that, but they're super simple once you know how. Do check that video out if you're having trouble with them. You can't quite get the hang of them, but middles of the flowers and for the background of the whole piece. So let's just have a final look at the whole piece there. So there's my leaves that we did the fly stitch in. These are the 2 types of flowers, so the detached chain and the eyelets, the long and short in the large flowers. French knots in the centre, my weird sort of mix of rhodes and star stitch in the middle of the yellow ones, and then the French knots in the background as well. So you can roughly work them in that order. I have the details of the order to work it in on that free PDF as well. You've got 2 sizes of designs. You've got all the colours that I have used as well. I've written the DMC colours down, but I've also put dark yellow, light yellow, medium yellow if you want to transfer that into another thread, something that you've already got. Perhaps you don't have to use these DMC threads to stitch it. And I've just stitched mine on a linen cotton ground, so something natural, a linen or a cotton or a blend of the 2. Put a backing fabric behind it, and I've got it in some stretcher bars, or you can use a ring frame if you want to, but all of the information is on the PDF. Don't forget, you can get that in the description below the video. So I hope you're inspired to download this project and have a go yourself. Do enter the competition and see if you can win yourself those threads. I look forward to reading your comments. If you've enjoyed this video, you might enjoy this video up here as well. Do give it a thumbs up to show that you've liked it, and I will see you next time.